Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So thank you so much for being so patient with me while I've been away on holiday. I was away in Europe for 6 weeks, but I'm finally back home. I got back last week, so I'm excited to get back into YouTube videos and post whenever I feel like it, to be honest. But this video is about anxiety. Are they rude or is it anxiety? So I saw this post online and it was called 8 Anxious Behaviors Mistaken as Rudeness. I wrote some notes down of some examples that I would like to talk about and correct myself on a lot of things, because there are a few things that I've said on YouTube videos accusing people of being rude when simply I didn't know. They probably just had anxiety. There are a lot of things that I've said on my channel that I simply just like wish I could take back, and would take 2 hours to go through all of my videos and be like, I don't agree with that anymore. I changed my mind on that, etc. The Instagram I got this from is called Monk Notion. So number 1, avoiding eye contact during conversations. In the past, I've made a video about this girl named Gertrude, and even though this girl has done me wrong in so many different ways, even way after that video was made in so many other different ways, like the stories don't end with her. But there was this one point that I do regret saying, which is thinking that she's super rude because she didn't give me any eye contact. I actually haven't watched the video in years, but I do remember saying that like she would never look me in the eye when we would talk, and especially when I first like went over to her house to like visit her, that she would just like turn her back on me, etc, etc. And now thinking about it, I totally understand that that is a symptom, not a symptom, but like a coping mechanism with anxiety. I've been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, but I've managed to like manage all of the things that I've been diagnosed with, even though I can relate. I've worked so hard on my mental health, so it's kind of also hard for me to relate to. With human body language, I understand why the lack of eye contact seems kind of rude, especially like when someone's talking to you and you like turn your back on them, and it's very like directly avoiding eye contact. But most of the time with people who are anxious, like they just like look down, or they look to the side, or they like look at their hands. And when I think about it as well, like when I'm around someone who makes me feel anxious, I don't want to look them in the eye either. Just because I think I'm a really nice person and that I'm not a threatening person, that doesn't mean that other people think that about me as well. They might see me as a threatening person and they don't want to give me eye contact, because even when it's not like a threatening person, if I have a crush on someone and they make me feel anxious, I feel nervous looking at them in the eye for too long, and I'll like fiddle with my hands and I'll look down and you know, I'll pick at blades of grass or whatever, or I'll fiddle with something and look at it while I'm fiddling it. That does not mean that like my intention is to be rude, but I totally do understand both sides of it. So that's number 1. Don't think someone's rude just because they're not giving you eye contact. It could just be anxiety. All right, number 2, not saying hello if they see you in public. So this example is also to do with Gertrude. I don't know if I did mention it in the video or not, but this is just like one example I can think of. So we were like going to the clubs, and I was going with like one of my other close girlfriends at the time, and I was really excited for Gertrude to meet this close girlfriend of mine. I remember when Gertrude ended up coming to the club, she didn't even want to say hi to me, and she didn't even want to say hi to my friend. And I remember my friend mentioning like that's kind of rude and stuff, and I remember being like, oh my god, like I'm so disappointed in her. Like I've basically hyped this night up to both of them, being like, oh my god, you guys are gonna get along so well, like it's gonna be like, we're gonna be like the Powerpuff Girls, we're gonna vibe so well, because I vibed with this girl and I vibed with Gertrude, so like I really wanted them to vibe together. And then we go to the club and Gertrude doesn't even want to sit with me, look at me, talk to me, or talk to my friend. And I think I remember like bumping into Gertrude in the bathroom, and she like just washed her hands and left or something, like didn't even want to talk to me. I didn't realize at the time that this is like also how someone deals with being anxious. Like first of all, social situations, anxiety ridden. Like I understand if someone is anxious in social situations, and I totally get that now. And I think at the time I just took it way too personally, and that's not right at all, and I do want to correct that. I wish I had learned these tips beforehand, and now that I've learned these tips, like I'm not going to just assume that someone's a rude bitch or a rude asshole just because they don't say hi to me in public. Also, my blindness has gotten so worse. Like I have about 10 pairs of glasses. I'm just like looking up there because I have so many glasses hanging up. I have glasses in every part of my house. I have so many pairs of glasses because like I'm on the computer all the time, so my blindness gets worse and worse and worse. So also when I don't have my glasses and I'm out in public, anxiety up here. Like I'm so anxious because I don't know if someone's gonna say hi to me or talk to me and they're gonna know who I am, and then they're gonna think I'm rude because I don't actually like recognize their face. I also know that some people, when they're anxious, their vision can go blurry, so maybe like that's would make them anxious to even like approach someone in public and say like, hi, oh my god, it's you, you know? Also, sometimes if I'm not feeling my best, like if I don't feel pretty, I don't want to approach someone out in public because I think like, oh my god, like I feel insecure and anxious about myself. So I would most likely like text them and be like, hey, were you just here? Because I just saw you. And I get that a lot too. People would be like, hey, I just saw you at this bus stop. Was that you? And I'm like, oh my god, you should have said hi. And I would used to say like, oh my god, I'm so nice and non-threatening. You should have just come up and say hi. It's not that simple. Just because I think I'm non-threatening doesn't mean that other people don't think that. So yeah, if someone does see you out in public and they don't say hi to you, don't feel offended. Most likely they'll probably message you later and be like, hey, sorry I didn't say hi, I was nervous or I was anxious, I was in a rush. Doesn't mean they're rude. Number 3, showing closed off body language. Okay, so I remember when I was in Taiwan, me and my friend, we went on the train, like the MRT together, and we were just going like 10 minutes away. And in this 10-minute ride, she put her earphones in, and I remember we didn't have like a lot of time to hang out with each other. It wasn't like we were hanging out all day together or we were gonna be on like a 2-hour like train ride. It was like a short hangout. And so I remember feeling like, oh my god, like we have such little time together and you are so rude to just like put earphones in instead of just converse with me on the train and hang out with me. Like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? To me, it was like the same thing as like eating dinner with someone and them being on their phone. And now that I'm more aware, obviously, like I feel so stupid for thinking that, and I never like said anything, but I remember like having an ill opinion towards her because I thought, that's just rude. And now that I'm older and I've like researched on this stuff more, like I do realize that like people who are anxious, a lot of people these days, like they have like earplugs and stuff they wear out in public where there's like a lot of noise and stuff because they get like sensory overload. There's even like ads that I get on Instagram for like cute earplugs and stuff that people can wear so that they don't feel like their sensory, like their audio sections like overloaded, which makes them like even more anxious. And I didn't even realize at the time, like the train is super loud, especially in Taiwan. It's super busy, super loud. That just makes people anxious in general, being in like such close proximity to people. Yeah, and then having to like keep up a conversation, like I get that now and I should have been more understanding. Also, if someone's like holding their arms like this and they're like this, like it's a form of protection. Like even like sometimes I sit like this when I like first meet people. Like I'm fucking terrified sometimes, and I don't mean to be like rude about it or anything, so don't assume that with anyone. Number 4, leaving social events early. So I am the first to leave a social event now. Like I'm 25 years old, like I'm an old grandma, like I am the first to head home at the party. And it could be to do with my anxiety, it also could be because I'm lazy, and also because now that I'm older, like I enjoy my company so much that sometimes when I'm around a lot of people, I'm kind of like, my bed and my room and my house is just way better than this place with this many people. Yeah, like leaving early a lot of the times makes me anxious as well, because usually when I leave a party early, it's at the point where everybody's like so drunk, like it's before we even get to the clubs. Like by the time we're going to the clubs, I'm going home. Like and then everyone's like, oh my god, no, stay, like why aren't you having fun, like oh my god. And it's just so hard to leave. Like I go into one room and I'm like, hey guys, like I'm going home, and just live down the road, and they're like, oh my god, no. I miss you so much, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, bye, say bye to everyone. And I go to the other room and they're like, no, you're not leaving. I'm like, oh my god, I have to do this again. And then like I have to do that goodbye thing all the way until I reach to the door, and as soon as I leave the house party, I'm like, oh my god, I'm free. Also, my shirt says I don't care. I hope nobody ever thinks that I'm rude. Whenever someone leaves the party early, I'm like, yes, they have the balls to leave early. I want to leave early too. But yeah, I don't think I've ever found someone rude for leaving like a event early. I'm always just like, especially if there's one I'm hosting, I'm always just grateful that like they showed up. So I don't think I've ever like considered someone to be rude for like leaving early. But yeah, I didn't really explain why it's not rude. A lot of people, they just are anxious in social situations, and also for me, being a sober person, it's actually really hard being around people who are very, very drunk. A lot of them are annoying, or a lot of the times it makes me feel like I want to start drinking, especially with addicts. Like, don't feel offended if they want to leave early when there's a house party filled with drugs and alcohol. Number 5, canceling plans in the last minute. I think this one's pretty straightforward. It's 2022. Everybody knows that we have shit going on, and also everybody has shit going on, whether it's to do with work, school, studies, just not feeling it. Like, I am just so different. Like, I remember being in high school and someone would cancel plans with me and it would be the end of the world, and now I'm just so much older. Like, if someone cancels plans with me, they don't have to say, oh, it's because I have this, because I had this. Literally all they have to say is, I don't feel like coming out today. And I'm like, dude, cool, because most of the time I don't even want to leave my house. And also, I know what it feels like to have to cancel plans. And also, with someone who's dealt with anxiety, I've also felt extremely guilty and feel like I would put myself down for canceling plans. I would be too anxious to leave the house, whether it had to do with like body image issues or insecurities or being around people and stuff like that. I would cancel plans and then I would lie in my bed and I would beat myself up about it and be like, you couldn't even go outside, you couldn't even keep your word, you are never gonna make friends. I would just keep on going and beat myself up. And what would be even worse is to have someone not be understanding, be another voice in my head to be like, all you had to do was this, all you had to do was show up, you could have canceled yesterday, why did you cancel today, blah blah blah. And that just makes every relationship like you're walking on eggshells. I would never ever keep someone in my life who beats me up for canceling plans last minute. Nobody in my life does that, because I don't keep around people who just focus on themselves and don't understand that like other people have shit going on. I've been disappointed when people cancel plans. I'm a busy person, so when someone cancels plans last minute, sometimes I'm like, oh damn it, like I could have made these plans with someone else, I could have worked this day, I could have booked in for work, I could have done something else. Like, I think the only time I'm actually like upset about someone canceling plans is when I've already done my makeup. But most of the times when I've already done my makeup and people cancel plans, I'm like, time to take selfies in my room and take a video for YouTube now that I've already got my makeup done. So usually I'm actually not too bothered about it, but I have been in the past, and I'm very sorry to anybody who's ever had to feel uncomfortable around me because I've been upset with them canceling plans last minute. Don't take it personally, guys. Like, seriously, like everybody has a lot going on and they're beating themselves up way more than you are upset about it. Number 6, talking too much or too little. So this one I feel like is very relevant to me. A lot of people would say to me like, wow, you're so confident, you're so outgoing, and I'd be like, honey, that's my anxiety. My anxiety makes me like motor mouth, like blah, 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 because I'm just like, I want people to like me. I sometimes feel uncomfortable, especially around new people, in silence. Like, I feel like I have to fill this space. Luckily, everybody in my life and everybody I spend time with, I could just sit with them quietly and we're perfectly fine. Like, I do not have to, I don't know, I don't really put myself out there too much anymore to put myself in situations where I feel like so anxious that I'm like blah 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 blah. But yeah, sometimes I talk way too much because I'm anxious and I want people to like me, and it's just, I don't know, like a habit I have. And I've definitely had gone home and been like, damn, I didn't even get to listen to them so much. Luckily, I managed to change the way that like my anxious talking, instead of like talking about myself and things, a lot of my anxious talking is just asking questions. Usually it actually is just as bad because it just sounds like I'm interviewing someone. So I'll be like, what did you do today? Oh yeah, so what do you do for work? Oh, you do there? So do you work Monday to Friday? Oh, what's your shifts like? Do you get paid well? Do you live far from your work? Whereabouts do you live? Oh, is it a house or a townhouse or like a apartment? Oh, do you have any housemates? Like, it just keeps going and going and going, like just all these questions. A lot of people like luckily do like respond well to it, and they're like, oh, you're so interested in wanting to know about me. But like, also some people, they just want to chill the fuck out and not have someone like know every detail of their life because they're so anxious about being in the silence with a new person that they haven't met before, that they just like ask everything about them. On the other side, talking too little, which I'm also on this side as well. It's like in between, like sometimes talk way too much, sometimes I talk way too little. But some people, and I've definitely had friends who have anxiety and they're very talkative to me, and then we're around other people and they shut down and they hardly talk, and it's very hard to get them to talk. They're not trying to be rude, and people who are quiet when they're in social situations, they're definitely not trying to be rude. And you know what's one thing you shouldn't do? Look at someone and be like, oh, you're so quiet. Because what the fuck are they supposed to say? Like, oh, thanks. Now everybody thinks I'm the quiet one, and now when I speak, everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, the quiet one talks, and they're gonna look at me and make me more anxious. Number 7, being blunt in their responses. So this one I actually had to learn recently, because I feel like, especially through text messages, I'm very expressive. I use emojis, emoticons, exclamation marks, like I feel like I'm very expressive in my messages, and everyone in my life has told me that they like the way I text because it's very expressive and they usually don't misinterpret what I say. Obviously in the past it hasn't been like that. I've had a friend who is a very anxious sort, and they would give me really blunt responses, and I would instantly think like, oh, they're so rude. Like, I would be like, hey, how are you, or whatever, and then they'd be like, okay. I can't really give an example, to be honest, but like they just give really blunt responses, even to the point where they add a period after answering something. So I'd be like, oh, are you happy to go to Sydney on your holiday? And they'd be like, yeah, thanks for asking, dot. And I would just be like, what? Like, they hate me. They hate me. But it's also because I get anxious too. So I just think like blunt responses, sometimes I just think that they hate me. Obviously that's when I'm in a bad state of mind. Like, I've been in a good state of mind for a pretty long time, so I never take any of that stuff personally. So if someone's being blunt to you, like, I hope you don't think that they are like intentionally trying to be rude. They could be also just anxious, and a lot of people, like, when I'm anxious, I don't reply to any of my messages, and sometimes when I do have to reply to messages, they're not as talkative as they would be if I was in a good state of mind, because to me, I'm like, oh, I just have to answer them so they don't think that I'm like gonna yeet out of here because I haven't replied in weeks, you know? Like, I just gotta like answer. And the 8th one is taking ages to respond. I think this is like the same as every other point. People got their own shit going on, so that's why people take a long time to respond. I am notorious for taking a really long time to respond. I've just learned to like not care, I guess, because I feel like everyone in the world now does understand that just because I'm posting on my story, or anyone's posting on their story, and they haven't replied to the message, doesn't mean that they're trying to ignore you or trying to be rude. With everything, life isn't black and white, and there are exceptions to this. Like, someone could be anxious and then specifically doing these behaviors to be rude. So obviously, like, this is just generalized, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and can have a bit of insight to it. But yeah, I want to know, is there anything that you've done or anything that you do that can come off as rude? Because there's definitely a lot of things that I do that can come off as rude when it's just my anxiety. Like, for me, my most specific example of something that I do that comes off as rude is talking a lot. Like, I definitely like talk a lot, and when it comes to like talking a lot because I'm anxious, sometimes I do interrupt people, and that obviously comes across as rude, and it's just me being anxious. So I would say that point is the one that I am guilty of most. I think a lot of people who watch my channel are somewhat mentally ill, because that's how you found me. I love you guys all so much. Thank you so much for watching my channel and sticking with me. And my Instagram is universal.hobo. I'm more active on there, and I do have a spam account, but I change my spam account name like every freaking 2 weeks or something. Right now it's called spam.onbread. So you can follow my spam account as well, but I spam post, so like look out. And I do have a TikTok, I forgot what it's called, but like I'll put it in the comments or like description somewhere. I love you guys all so much. Thank you for watching my channel and sticking by me. Bye.